Alright, welcome back folks. Here with another Let's Play. We are now in the month of September. We're continuing Operation Barbarossa. You know how it goes. We're going to start this month with the good old production. Pretty much a rinse and repeat of the rules. Hopefully, for those of you who are interested in this game, by now you kind of have a general sense as to the pace of the game. The game actually goes by pretty fast, as you can tell. So I'm going to start a new log file. This time it's going to be 0900, and that's for the production of September. Soy production has definitely gone down this last few months. Germans have had some pretty impressive roles. They took Dnipropetrovsk, they took Kryvyi Rog, they took Odessa. That's already 4 industrial sites. They took Kyiv, So they altogether, I think the Soviets have lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think they've lost 7 sites altogether. So yeah, their production is at 61. And so immediately we're going to spend our production on HQ. The Western HQ by far is our most valuable HQ. So let's have it build up to full strength. I think I'm also going to try to build up this Ukrainian HQ over here. Build it up to a level 1 maybe. Should be able to at least command these 2 units, which I hope can fall back. So that leaves me with 31 corps left that I can use to build up more forces. Leningrad is on its own, but it's very well defended. We have another HQ in the north, but it's level 0, so pretty much not very effective right now. I would rather have all the Soviet HQ at least level 1, but the movement of the German units has been pretty intense. So what I'm going to do with the remaining 31 production points I have, I'm actually going to spend it on the build up some Soviet reserves, rebuild the reserves rather, because most of them have been destroyed by the German advance. And so the idea is just to make sure that the German reserves, or rather the Soviet reserves, are always being put to good use, even if they're not the best units. Better to have them deployed somewhere on the front or somewhere in the Soviet sector than nowhere at all, because that's how you're going to keep the German army just sort of grinding away and seemingly fighting an endless sea of Soviet troops. So yes, our troops are not the best quality, but we can deploy a lot of them. And so that's what we're going to do. I mean, 31 divided by 4, I have 7 with 3 as a remainder. And maybe that means I build 7 Soviet ground units for this turn. And I think that's what I'm going to do. Maybe I should build up these Soviet armies here. These armies are still perfectly good at fighting. They just need a little bit more reinforcements and then they'll be at full strength. No, they're not the best units, but I think the level 3 Soviet infantry have at least proven themselves to be pretty reliable. Perhaps not the best units, but definitely reliable. And at the very moment, all we need is just to buy a little bit more time for the weather to go bad. So yeah, I think we're going to build up those Soviet units there. So that's going to be the equivalent of 2 new units. We can still build 5 units. So let's do that. That's going to be a total of, each one costs 4 points, the cadre. So that's a total of, if I do my math right, it's 20 production points for the Soviets. And I can put up to 2 units, 2 new reinforcements per city. So I'm going to put 2 in Kharkov, 2 in Stalino. I could put another unit. No, actually, I cannot. Oh, we just also lost Zaporozhye. I forgot. So we may actually only have 60 production. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, the Soviets lost also Zaporozhye, and the Germans are going to gain 1 there as well. Nice. So it was kind of foolish. I mean, I don't know. The Soviets decided to pull out of Zaporozhye. I know why we did in hindsight. But we also just lost some good production there. So yeah, we're just going to build a wall of units. Build a reserve if we can. We have 2 production points left. Also, with what we just built, we can still build these units up. Let's do that. I have 2 production points left. I kind of want to build up that mech unit there. So yeah, I think I said 2 production points left. I could maybe cancel a few of them. cancel the production. That gives me 4 with 6 in total. I'm going to build up the mech unit there, build up this cavalry unit. And that should be something. It's better than nothing. Bit something. And also, I got to keep in mind that, our rear guard at Moscow is also pretty weak. So actually, maybe I don't even build up these units, even though they're at the front line. Maybe I build up these Soviet reserves. Again, it's hard to say what's the best course of action here. At least build up the, we're going to build up these 2 units. Keep them getting some reinforcements. So yeah, it's a weird situation for the Soviets. Not a lot of strong units, if you ask me. I'm trying to double stack these units at Kharkov and Stalino, but frankly, I have a feeling some of these units are better off in other sectors. Maybe I put them in individual areas. So the chances of us losing these cities is that much greater. But, hopefully we don't lose anything more. Again, it's just really hard to say what's the best move here for the Soviets. I'm actually going to leave these units at the front. We're going to see if that defense is good enough. So we'll see. We're kind of testing still the Soviet strategy there, but at least we have one full-strength HQ that commands pretty much all our main units along the main part of the front, so that's good. It's good to see. And we do have some reserves, which is also good to see. But outside of that, there really isn't much else for units. I'm actually going to build this 52nd Corps over there. Yeah, so that's it for Soviet production. We'll switch over to British production in the Mediterranean. And they get 5 dice rolls. We just add it up. That's going to be 10. That's a total of 15 production. I could build up maybe the desert maintenance or desert units are more expensive, so I think I'm just going to pass. And we're going to move this from August. Now it's going to be available in September at 15 production points. And then as far as the Western Front, and by now we have 21. We could, in theory, have 21 production for the Western Front. But I think I'm going to wait. I think I'm going to wait a little longer, yeah. Probably going to build up this British armored unit. And I think my intention is to spend those 20 production points on this amphibious invasion unit. Have it ready. Or maybe I should wait until the last minute to do that. Kind of, do some sort of surprise attack on the Germans on the Western Front. That's another available option. There's a number of options that we have with the British. So I just want to pick an option that seems to work best. Maybe we just build up all these mech units, build up our HQ. That may be more reasonable. So again, we have different options. Just trying to figure out what's the best option, really. So we'll figure that out. But for now, we can just wait another turn for British production. So that's it. That's for the Allied production. We're going to switch over now to the German production. And we can figure this out. So the German production is really not much better than the Soviets. They're going to spend pretty much all their production on HQs. So again, we're spending it on 5 HQ. Oops. Most of our HQs were at level 0, it looked like. Or at least 2 of them were. And so, yeah, not a great look for the Germans. We also have, I think, a total of 63 production. Right, when we include Riga, Minsk, Kyiv, Odessa, that's 4. Plus Kryvyi Rog is 6. Plus Dnipropetrovsk and Zaporozhye for a total of 9. So yeah, we're at 63 production. So that means we have 13 production points still left. So we could actually build up more infantry. This would be a good time to build up stack up on infantry. If we want to, we could also stack up more infantry on attack on Leningrad. At this point, I don't know if I really want to go for Leningrad. Oh, I just realized I did a miscalculation with the Soviet production. Now we also cut off Leningrad. So Soviet production has actually gone down to 54 now. Ouch. So hold the phone. This is why we try to keep track of production. So the Soviets actually lose 6 production. Well, I know where those are going to go. They're going to go right there. And so, yeah, we'll see if that's the right move for the Soviets. Definitely a very tenuous situation for the Soviets, if you ask me. Very tenuous. That's the term I'm going to use. But yeah, there we go. So yeah, the Soviets did lose a little bit more production there. So at the very least, we've strategically cut off Leningrad, but we haven't taken Leningrad. I do think there's a benefit to taking Leningrad, but it only really comes into effect if we can take it. You want to take it as soon as possible. The problem right now is that Army Group North does not have enough HQ ability to attack Leningrad all on its own. Even if we wait until October, we could do 2 rounds of combat with clear weather, and even then we're still attacking a very heavily fortified position. We need probably more than 2 rounds of combat to take Leningrad. I would guess we would probably need about, on the safe end, like at least half a dozen. So you're looking at least 2 HQs at full strength operating over there to take Leningrad. And so the only HQ that really would actually fit the job would be Army Group Center. So I can either use the Army Group Center to stop our attacks on Smolensk and switch to like a defensive strategy here, or wait until Army Group Center gets a little stronger on the next turn, try to push on Smolensk, try to go from Moscow, forget about Leningrad. If I do that, I would get Army Group South to support that drive on Moscow. And then, of course, we would be switching over to the Battle of Moscow as we saw historically. And I can tell you now, I mean, I can make a lot of progress to Moscow, but I don't think I'm actually going to be able to take it. Maybe I can take Kalinin. Maybe I can take Tula. I'm definitely going to have to try to take Bryansk. But, you know, I have a lot of territory that I need to take. And I still would think that Leningrad, it would still help if I took Leningrad somehow. So, I mean, it's a weird call either way. I do think there's advantages to taking Leningrad, but strategically, it's a very isolated objective. And so we can do it right now. This is the perfect time to really, before the Soviets try to launch any kind of counteroffensive, but we need more. I'm trying to say we need to send more units to the north. So that's one option. Either that, I'm pretty sure either way, the month of September, a lot of our ground units are just going to have to sit and wait because we just don't have enough. We don't have enough HQs, or we don't have enough ground units to really make a push. I think Army Group South right now is the only HQ we have that could actually make a push right now. And I probably will try to use it to go for Kharkov and maybe even blitz onto Stalino. But yeah, I mean, I think Army Group South objectives still remain the same, which is take these industrial sectors from the Soviet Union as soon as possible. Likewise, we have the partial objective for Army Group North to take Leningrad. The real question is, do we want to take it or not? It does not seem like a very attractive target right now, if you ask me. But we don't have that much time before the weather becomes abysmal to try to take the city. So we can either wait or try to gamble and attack on Leningrad. If we do, we're going to have to go all out on Leningrad. Army Group Center is going to be weaker. Army Group South will be weaker as well. But maybe that's the better move. I mean, I'm pretty sure we can hold off against Soviet attacks as long as we have enough manpower at the front, I'm pretty sure. But the key all goes back to, do we go for Leningrad right now or not? And I think the short answer is that we should. That's like my short answer. But I know that on this immediate turn, I don't want to use Army Group North. I probably have no combat support to attack Leningrad, which is not good for the panzers. So anyways, I have 13 production. I'm going to build up these 2 infantry. Then I think I'm going to build up... That's it. I don't really have much as far as reinforcements. Germans just don't have that many reinforcements. We have just barely enough units to make a push to Kharkov, all these other objectives. I mean, if I'm being frank, I think the best option right now is to hold off on Leningrad. I think that's strategically our best bet. Just hold off for now. And wait until spring 1942 to take Leningrad. Not a great strategic choice, if you ask me, but we'll have better success here in the center. I think we'll be able to wipe out a lot of Soviet units, and that seems to be a pretty reasonable objective. I think just try to destroy as many Soviet units as we can, and somehow that seems to work better with Army Group South objective. So maybe we can start an attack on Leningrad, but I think I'm going to not use any Panzer Corps to do it. So I'm going to have to operationally pull these units out. It's going to be a whole logistical process, but I want to get these Panzer Corps out of here, substitute them with some infantry corps, including the Finnish army. So yeah, that's kind of the game plan, I think. Very, very unorthodox strategy, but I think we're going to stick to what we got. So I think, having these units at full strength seems to be reasonable. I'm going to only have one at full strength. And then we're going to build up another infantry unit here at full strength. I want to have as many full strength infantry as I can for this operation against pretty much all these remaining Soviet objectives, because we have a good handful to go after. Kharkov and Stalino are the primary two, and so that's kind of why I want to go focus here in the south. These objectives will definitely have a bigger impact on the war than taking Leningrad, and they seem a lot easier, frankly. So that's that. So that's going to be the German production. We got to do the Western Front production for the Germans. I'm going to build up this OKW. We have 17 production here. So now I have 7 left on the Western Front. I can build 3 to build this guy up. And then the last 4, I can just send to a ground unit pretty much, like this one over here. And then I can also set up a few more German reinforcements, like these 2 units. And we are in the month of September, so we also have this veteran Mediterranean front unit for the Germans. We're going to send that unit to Tripoli. And then we also have the production for the Germans. I don't know if I had transfer production over from the last turn. I think I did. So we're going to do the dice roll. So we're investing a lot into North Africa. Maybe I have to cut down the production in North Africa. But right now I'm counting 12 plus another 8. That's 20. Plus we had 15 from the last turn. So that's 45 production altogether. And I think we have plenty. I said 45, right? This here is 32. And then with another 9, that's 41. Yeah, that's plenty. Oh, and I said 45, right? Was that really 30? No way. No, that was 20, wasn't it? That's 12, 17. Yeah, that's 20. And then plus 45. That's incredible. So I did 32 there. Plus another 9 puts me at 41. And then I have 4 more left. And I'm actually going to build up this unit here. But I actually, I see. I'm actually going to then build this unit there. And then I'm going to move this unit back there, because we can only send 1 unit at a time, so we might as well leave it there in Tripoli. So yeah, the overall Axis strategy here is just set up a strong defense against the British, and that's the idea. We don't need the British causing us any more trouble. I don't know if I should pull back these 2 Italian units against a British attack. Probably would be a better move, where I can move out the Panzer Corps. Maybe use the Panzer Corps as part of a strong defense. Of course, the Allies are going to have air power. If we look at the table as far as Allied air power, then again, these desert battles go either way. But we're in summer 41, and the Allies have single fire. but in the winter they do get double fire. So, you know, it's a weird situation for the Axis. I say we just hold the line, but our Panzer Corps will be vulnerable to enemy airstrikes, as well as whatever the British roll. So it's a weird gamble. So we'll see. We'll see what I do there. But we're going to start the turn. I think we finished enough production. Let's start the turn. Start the operations. So we're now in September. I'm going to start with North Africa because I'm staring at this problem and I'm seeing the British. They're kind of getting closer to Machili, right? So from this perspective, you know, I know the British can launch a strong attack, so I'm tempted to pull back. Or if I want to be more aggressive, I can pull forward my units. So I'm not sure what the best course of action is. I'm going to pull back. We're going to send these 2 units here, like so. I'm also going to activate this Italian unit. I'm going to move this guy over here. And then I think this Italian unit, I'm going to have it make its way back to Tripoli via sea. Yeah, that way we have this port a little bit more open. Okay, so that's an interesting move. We're pulling back with the Italians. So interesting spot to put the German units. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then what else? Still have the initiative on the Eastern Front rather. Before I make, I should have, before I did that, I should have done the diplomatic event. I want to see if Finland joins the war. And so all you got to do is just look at the diplomatic events. Just look at that data table, which is right here. Scroll all the way down. Go to diplomatic events. We want to go to the Axis diplomatic events. And I'm rolling for FL, where the preconditions include Soviet allies and Finnish armistice, both of which already happened, and we need a roll of 1 or 5. And now Finland will have joined the Axis. Technically, they have their own separate production, but they're basically the Axis. And we're going to deploy these units. The production they had from July was 64 production points, but now since they're being deployed in September, they're going to have extra production points from August and September, so they're actually at 68 production points. And so if I were to deploy these units, I can start with the Mannerheim HQ, and so that's going to be each of these production points is 5, so I think in total that's 25 production points. The 10 for the cadre plus another 15, so that leaves us with, I believe, if I did my math there right, it's 43 production points that are left over of the original 68 that we have. I can build up, for example, this militia unit. And if I build it up to a level 1, it's going to be 5 production points. So that's going to reduce it from 43 down to 38. Right? Because the cadre is 3, the level 1 is 2. So you're looking at, or excuse me, I think the level 1 is 2, the cadre is, level 1 is 2, yeah, and then the cadre is 3 for some reason. But basically, the Finnish are left with 38 production points. And then this is where I can start building up some Finnish ground troops. And I can build up a few. You know, each of the ground troops at full strength costs 18 production points. So 2 of them would be 36 production points. That leaves me with just 2 left. Come to think of it, that's not a lot of units. It's really not a whole lot of units, isn't it? I think we could use more units than what we currently have. So I don't know. I gotta maybe change up how I built it. These were 18 apiece because it's 6 cadre, and then plus another 12 for each. So that's 18 production points. That times 2 is 36. 36 plus 25 is I believe it's 61, right? Plus another 5 is 66, and then we have 2 extra. So I got to figure out what I'm doing with those 2 extra. I'm not sure what to do. Maybe I reduce one of these units by 2. Now we have 10 production points left over. Those 10 production points can be the equivalent of, say, another finished ground unit at level 2. That would be 10. Maybe I do something like that. I think that actually seems a bit more reasonable. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that as my setup. And so you can see that this is a pretty good setup for the Axis, for the Hungarians. The only caveat, of course, is that we don't have any units in Petsamo. So that's why I want to send this Army Group Dietl, Army Group North over there as well. So that's going to be part of the move. So Finland is going to join the Axis. So we deploy those units. So that's part of actually the diplomatic. Technically, it's part of the diplomacy phase, right? So that happens immediately after production. It only happens at the beginning of the fortnight phase, only after production. And then you go ahead with the command phase, movement phase, etc. And so these African units should have moved after the diplomacy phase. Oopsie daisies. So anyways, I'm going to activate OKW. It's going to command the northern front. And so now we can move units regularly across the northern front. This is going to be a double march to Petsamo, so that's going to be 2 supreme moves. Then I'm also going to move 1 unit via rail, or rather via sea, boom, to there. So that's already 3 supreme moves. And then the 4th supreme move I have is to move this unit by rail to Oulu. So now we've done 4 supreme moves. And then I think the last move I'll do, well, I think that's actually enough for the north. I think that's pretty good for the north. All I need to do now is move. I can move 1 more unit on the western front somewhere, anywhere, somewhere. I'm going to go ahead and move this infantry corps. We're going to put it over there in Brest. And that's going to count as 2 more supreme moves. And that will be my move for OKH, which I think is pretty good. And then I'm actually going to move it by rail. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10. I'm going to move it to Poznan, right there. And then, so that's going to be all my moves for the Western Front, which are pretty good. For the Eastern Front, I also finished the Mediterranean Front as well. For the Eastern Front, I think we're going to activate Army Group South. Probably from where it's at. I think it's probably the best location to have it where it's at. Maybe I want to blitz with this HQ. I'm not sure yet. I probably won't. But right now my strategy is just to get as many units as I can right now. Just moving. I don't really care where they go. I just want them to go somewhere. And so, yeah, like I can move these corps. I can't move this Romanian corps out just yet. I have to do a diplomatic event for that. But like, for example, this unit, I can already make a move on Stelino. And the idea is just to get as much mass as I can moving to the desired objectives, including Kharkov. And I figure we're going to attack the cities directly. Already, though, I'm seeing a problem of a manpower shortage with some of my units. And that's not good. So I think we'll maybe even encircle this unit here. So I can like pull out these mech units from this area. And then I also I'm in range of moving these units from outside of Kyiv, getting them outside of Kyiv and actually get them into the front line again, basically. And oddly enough, I mean, I thought I could make more moves, but frankly, we just don't have a lot as far as German units. We're kind of running a little thin on German units, frankly. So yeah, we're gonna put an airstrike on Kharkov, see if we can take it. But we're gonna encircle unit at Kremenchug, but we're not doing any further attacks. So the Soviets have an opportunity to consolidate their front lines. So that's interesting. The Germans are not gaining any production right now, technically. But hopefully we can cut off Stalino. That's like the main goal. Definitely the main goal. And Army Group South right now is trying to do a lot. They're like trying to multitask a lot. So we'll see. We'll see if they can even take Stalino or not. I feel also inclined to activate OKH. We're also going to activate the Mannerheim, or this HQ. We're going to have the Finnish units move forward right over there, and just secure the northern flank of Leningrad. Now I've decided to abandon Leningrad. I think that was my strategic decision. So I'm actually going to activate OKH, and I'm actually going to have it move back. What I'm actually going to have it do is pull back all these units that are in Leningrad. I'm going to have them all march out. We'll start with the Panzer Corps, followed by another Panzer Corps, followed by an Infantry Corps. Infantry Corps will be the last rear guard unit. I guess I could pull out with the Panzer Corps rather. That should be the last one. It's faster. But we decided to siege Leningrad. We're not going to actually attack. We're not going to cut off Leningrad. And that way we just save the trouble of trying to fight in this terrible urban battle. That means we're going to want to move out this Panzer Corps, reposition it somewhere. I'm not sure where, but those are going to be 3 supreme moves. And then I want to move. I just realized that these units are probably not going to make it in time to Army Group Center, which is a bit of a problem. So yeah, that's maybe the consequence of what happens if I try to attack Leningrad a bit too preemptively, I guess. So that is definitely a nuisance. There's every reason for why we should take Leningrad, I think. But yeah, we're just going to have to make do with what we got here in the center. I mean, we still may be able to launch a good offensive operation even without those Panzer Corps. But unfortunately, we just don't have an OKH to transport any more reinforcements. I'm going to move up. I think the last unit I want to move up is maybe this mech unit. Try to put it in closer range of Army Group Center. I think it will be in range. Let's just get this unit here to Kyiv. Yeah, and then OKH. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with OKH actually. Maybe I bring it around to Minsk. Maybe I actually just leave it here on the front. Yeah, I might just leave it here on the front and actually try to give it maybe an objective to provide some air support. But we're only attacking one objective really. That's not even in command range. So no, we'll just go ahead and send it back. I think it's done enough for the operations. We're sending it back to Warsaw so that when the mud season comes around, we're not like dealing with a big mud problem. So that's the idea there. Army Group North is looking really strong with ground units. They just logistically don't have enough to take the city. So that's a bit of an oof there. But we still have a operation active here in the south, and we can still take the Ukraine. So it's not all over yet for German momentum. We're going to go ahead and start the battles. Start with the battle here at Kharkov. And the Soviets have only cadre units defending. Full airstrike, no hits. Defenders score 1 hit. Panzers are going to roll, followed by the mech and infantry. Dang it, we scored no hits on this turn. That's a bummer. Okay, and then we also are attacking Stalino. Stalino also cadre. They score 1 hit. We have no combat support though. No hits neither. And that's going to sum up the German turn. Oh, I guess, you know what, we're also going to attack the 6th Corps here while we're at it. So it's defend. Of course, they score the hit. We have a Panzer Corps though. Infantry, nothing. Oh man, not a great move there for the Germans. Not a great move. But anyways, at least we got some units advancing. We were at the foothill of Crimea, not bad. We've got Leningrad cut off. We haven't taken Smolensk. We're trying to take the rest of the Ukraine right now. We're going to switch over to the now Allied side. And Soviet situation is still not much better. They're holding by the skin of their teeth. Stavka is completely exhausted. This unit here is out of supplies. So technically we're still finishing up the German turn. But this unit is eliminated. But yeah, Soviet army though is still like healthy more or less. The only thing I want to do is pull out this Leningrad HQ before the Germans do any other attacks there. I think the Germans forgot there's a juicy Leningrad unit there. So I don't know if the Stavka should try to reinforce. I think they should, just for the sake of not losing an HQ. We're gonna move the 52nd unit up there. Then I think we can do one more strategic move. Let's probably move up another infantry unit if we can. Gotta move up the 12th right there. Just protect the flank a bit better. That's it for the Soviets. There's not much more the Soviets want to do. So that's that. The British here in North Africa, no, they're gonna pass. I think we passed the British production, right? For the Mediterranean for October, yeah. So yeah, they're not doing much. So yeah, we are now, that was a pretty quick fortnight. Switching back to the German side, and we're gonna continue the German offensive here. Production hasn't really changed all that much on this turn. The Soviets still have a good grasp on Kharkov and Stalino both. But if there's any month to take these two objectives, this would be it. Before the weather changes. Or maybe the Germans wait a whole month. I think the Germans may actually wait a whole month. Wait for the production to increase. Of course, if the weather is unfavorable, it's going to be that much harder. We just need one turn of clear weather, and the Germans have a pretty good opportunity to launch a pretty nasty offensive. In fact, even if we even use OKW to bring up some reinforcements, yeah. So I also want to try to attack Murmansk, don't I? I think I do. So yeah, we're going to just push our HQs to their limits. OKW, we're going to activate. I'm going to go ahead and I probably should give OKH just one more turn. But I wanted to move these Panzer Corps. I wanted to move them to over here. Because with extra Panzer Corps, we can launch more attacks. I mean, we have a Panzer Corps in reserve. It should be enough. So yeah, I think we're just going to activate OKW. Now, keep in mind that OKW is operating in the Eastern Front. There's a special rule that if you're using any HQs outside of their home territory, they basically are penalized. And I think that's just to prevent overstacking. But it tells you the resident HQs. And so, for example, if I can find that, German HQ units, it's actually further up. It's in the section about HQs. So these are sea moves, paratroopers. No, it's more further up than paratroopers. Production, desert maintenance, weather. I think it's before production. It's a rule pertaining to HQs. Command, HQ command. They got combat, battles, retreats, stacking limits, unit movement, think we're getting warmer. Here we go. HQ activation, 5.2. And you can see that just the natural HQs. So on the Eastern Front, you know, OKH, Army Group North, Center, and South, and Army Group A are all part of that environment. So they're not penalized. But, you know, it's a rule maybe just for Axis logistics, but it basically says, Axis HQs activating outside their normal fronts, see the sidebar over here, are penalized for command purposes as follows. They are disrupted for command purposes, and they cannot blitz. So this OKH is, yes, it is operating on the Eastern Front. It's not part of the Eastern Front naturally, so it's going to be disrupted, meaning that its actual command ability is not, it's not going to be 4 that you would expect, but it's actually going to just be 2. So you can only move 2, it only has 2 supreme moves, even though it's a level 2 HQ, supreme HQ. And another thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have it operate on the northern front of the Eastern Front, right? And I want it to command this unit here. And so since it's operating on the northern front, it's going to make a double march or a forced march for this 18th Corps. It's going to move across this dark dotted line. This is a long-range march, has 2 supreme moves. And that's where I'm going to dedicate the that one single HQ towards. It's just commanding that one unit. And then likewise, I'm going to activate this Dito HQ. And then it can move 1 unit. It's going to move the 38th. And the smaller dash line here, or dotted line that you see here, it represents 2 hexes. So it can move normally with just 1 supreme move. So these 2 units now are attacking Murmansk. And that's what I want to see. And then I have an airstrike of 3. Although this airstrike is double fire, there is no triple fire in the northern front. So a lot of activity there for the Axis. I forgot to deactivate the Mannerheim HQ. I'll put it over here though. Now I could use this HQ to move this Finnish unit into Leningrad. The only problem I have is that it does not provide combat support to areas outside of Finland. And so Leningrad is technically outside of Finland, even the original borders. So we couldn't support combat in Leningrad, which is unfortunate because we could use some combat support on Leningrad. And then the other decision I was thinking about is, do I want to activate OKH? And I only have 2 supreme moves there, but what I could do is that I could move the Panzer Corps, a couple Panzer Corps to over here. And I'm actually gonna wait. I'm actually gonna pass on that. So the only moves I have left is activating Army Group South, and I'm gonna have it attack Kharkov. We can send another infantry unit there, full strength. Maybe I do a blitz, try to encircle the city. You know, in fact, it's probably my best move if I want to take Stalino. For example, I can send the 42nd Corps and attack Mariupol. And by attacking Mariupol, I'm actually cutting off the rail line of Stalino. So the Soviets will lose production once we take Stalino. So that's the advantage, is that we'll lose production. The Soviets will lose production. And then, let's see, I could send the 2 Panzer Corps to Donetsk if I want. The only problem with his attack formation that I see is that my flanks are pretty vulnerable. That's the only thing I really see. I mean, I'm launching a full attack on Kharkov with, you know, maximum panzers and everything. But if I don't take the city, I won't be able to cut it off. Same thing with an attack on Stalino, frankly. I could wait another turn. Something's telling me that I probably should wait another turn before launching any more attacks. But another part of me is telling me, you know what, let's just go for it. And let's just attack, see if we can break through, see if we can make some serious ground against the Soviets. Like I say, the only problem I see right now, the biggest problem I see, is that the flank is a little too vulnerable, if you ask me. It just doesn't look right. So I'm going to send another Panzer Corps in there. We'll just go all out on Kharkov, I guess. And I'm going to try to pull back some of these units. The idea being that I have enough units to basically protect this flank. This flank does not, to me, it doesn't look safe at all. And the fact that we have no combat support on Stellino also is a bit of a problem. Even though I kind of want to go all out on Stellino as well. Try to score 4 hits if I can. I could activate this Army Group AHQ. But I'm thinking I should just wait another turn before I do. But without a doubt, the attack on Kharkov is like our main attack. Without a doubt. But yeah, you can see the German lines are definitely, especially in the north. I mean, I don't know what the Soviets have in the north, but they could, in theory, break through. So we are pretty vulnerable right now. I mean, I think I might as well just activate Army Group A, I guess. Try to launch an attack on Stellino, if I can. Very, very risky move, but we're going to try to go all out on the attacks, I guess. If we get any kind of mud on the next turn, though, no cigar. No cigar whatsoever. So yeah, you know what, no. I think I'm going to hold off any further attacks on Stellino for now. Try to, I guess, attack on the flanks. We'll see how it goes. All out attack on Kharkov, though. Let's give it a go. So yeah, you can tell that I'm spending a lot more time in the German moves right now. I'm just trying to really set up some good attacks, frankly. We'll see if they're any good. I can deactivate this HQ now. And then I'm going to send it to Berlin. Alright, so I think we've... Well, actually, maybe I'll leave it here in Poznan. So I think we've pretty much have it done. Nothing for Army Group Center, nothing for Army Group North. We're actually pulling out of Army Group North, but we are attacking in the far, far north. Let's see how this battle goes. Airstrike, double fire. We get 1 half hit. The defenders have 3, no hits. Attackers roll. They actually scored a lot of hits there. They scored 5 hits. So they scored. Had they scored 1 more, they actually would have taken it. Holy moly. Well, too bad we didn't. Close, but no cigar. All right, and then now we're doing the Battle of Kharkov, round 2. This time with more air support. See if the air support does anything this time. They score 1 hit, nice. Take out the 5th Soviet Army, 26th defend, they miss. He got a lot of Panzer Corps. Nice, we just took Kharkov. Good stuff. So, Germans were able to brute force their way in there, which is nice. We got one more battle here. South of Kharkov, we're facing 7th Mech Corps. Pretty strong unit. Scores 1 hit against our infantry. Panzer Corps roll. Infantry score a hit though. Okay. So we did take Kharkov, that's the good news. So the Soviets lose another 2. Germans gain another 2. Soviet production is definitely going down now. We're now at 52 with the Soviet production. German production is up by 65. Still not a 2-to-1 ratio that the Germans need to win the war. But overall, we're at least making progress in the right direction. At least took Kharkov. We have yet to take Stellino though. Okay. So that's going to sum up the German turn. I don't think any other battles we want to do. No. We'll switch over to the Allies. And then now the Soviets, I mean the Germans have broken through in the south. Not a good look over there for the Soviets. But I think at this point, all we want to do is just pull back our units. Yeah, pull back. Try to establish a good defensive line as best as we can. So I'm going to activate the Western HQ here. And then all these units that are here in the center, I'm actually going to just try to have them go around. And we're just going to try to set up like another defensive ring of sorts to face against the Germans. And the idea being that we have enough units to pretty much block off any attempts by the Germans to launch any future operations. That's the idea. We can even rotate some units over here, which I think would be very advantageous if we did that. And again, yeah, the idea is just to get as many units as we can, putting them in more favorable positions than what we found them in. But the main defense we have is without a doubt focused on Smolensk for sure. We have actually nice ensemble of units there. And again, we just want to make sure the Germans can't do anything sneaky against our line. So I want to have as many strong units as I can, just evenly distributed along the front. And we have a pretty good setup. I'm not going to activate Stavka. It's at level 0 anyway, so I probably don't want to do that. I guess it was at level 2 earlier, wasn't it? And I kind of regret spending it because now we're about to lose Murmansk. And I actually have no way of reinforcing it unless I decide to sacrifice this Soviet armored unit here. I could try to make a move to go save Murmansk. But that's an expensive HQ. I could activate it, but then it's going to be totally neutralized. And I'm losing 20 production points right now. Or do I lose, 25 for the rest of the game? It's a strange call to make. And not to mention, the Finnish can still make a move towards Soroka anyways and cut us off that way too. So it's not a good look either way. I think we're going to hold the line and just try to send some reinforcements on foot to Murmansk. That seems to be the best bet. All right, so yeah, that seems pretty good for the Soviets. Withdrawing units, shuffling around units to try to establish a better defensive line. That's kind of the name of the game right now. We are also going to get some more reinforcements now that in the next month of October, some of the Soviet shock armies are finally going to start arriving at the front line. So that's going to be really helpful, getting them shock armies activated, Siberian shock armies. Other than that, North Africa, nothing yet for the British. Nothing on the Western Front. So the main activity is still the Soviet defense of the Soviet Union. Leningrad is gone for now. Although we didn't lose any HQs, we could launch a counteroffensive at some point. We have a good foothold defending Smolensk. And we did lose Kharkov, but I think we have enough units to at least, we have enough units to establish a defensive belt around the city. Maybe we can try to flank the city. Maybe we can encircle the city during the winter offensive. We might be able to take it back as the Soviets. And as far as Stalino is concerned, it's still holding, although barely, but it is still holding. And that's going to sum up the Soviet turn. Yeah. Now we're in the month of October. And we're going to wrap up this video here. But we're going to have to do a dice roll for October as far as the weather. And we're just going to overall see how the Axis respond. Do they have enough momentum to keep pushing? probably not much. They can push a little bit further. They have a little bit extra units, but it's clear that they really don't have the same momentum that they had at the start of the operation. Especially because their HQs are under strength, their units are under strength, and they're attacking across larger fronts. And they're also attacking against an enemy that is prepared, somewhat better prepared for the oncoming assaults. But then again, there's still some vital sectors that can still be taken. Right, Stalino can be a major sector taken. There's some production there that the Soviets can lose. Rostov. There's still Bryansk that's nearby. I mean, most of these production points are pretty minor. So maybe in the longer scheme of things, they're not going to have a big impact in the war. I mean, that's probably the overall realistic outcome. But hopefully you can tell that, this invasion, was very different from the Napoleon invasion, number one. And number two, you can kind of see, I think, hopefully have a logical consensus as to why the German army lost. And a lot of it has to do with the Soviet reserves. But a lot of it has to do with the fact that despite the advantages of the German army, there still simply weren't enough to cripple the Soviet Union. Although I guess they did, but they just didn't cripple them enough to actually defeat the Soviet Union. And the Wehrmacht, the German army, didn't cripple the Soviet Union before their very nation got crippled by the war, quite frankly. So Germany still has we'll say the industrial advantage for now in the war. But as the season begins to change, as we close up the month of October, November, December, we're going to see the Allied production getting stronger and stronger. So we still have a long ways to go before the war ends. But we definitely are seeing, I think, the Axis tide start to buckle under the offensive pressure. I think by now France would have been defeated in the heavy fighting, and yet the Soviets are, I mean, they're much weaker, but they're not out of the fight just yet. All these Soviet armies are fair game right now. So that's the really interesting part. So I'm going to wrap up this video here. Hopefully you enjoyed. I definitely had some fun playing this game. But these next few months, keep in mind, are probably going to be the more grueling months. The fighting has been very brutal already, but I'm pretty sure these next winter months are going to be the ones where strategically we're going to see more of that stalemate arise. Maybe not. Maybe the Soviets can actually muster a winter offensive. Either way, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.